Average income of a young graduate in India is 11,000 rupees.
Okay.
So clearly they can't afford Sarovar Portico and Lemon Tree. They want something in less than 1,000 rupees a night. Oyo is a budget hotel brand, we're a social hotel brand. So we're a different category.
You mentioned Gen Z. Let's talk about that for a while. Decoding this entire Gen Z mindset, because I'm assuming that's your largest demographic. That's the kind of people who stay at your properties.
70% of Gen Z is choosing hostels over hotels. So hostel has become an alternative now to hotels and it's become that larger category. Maybe millennials को बहुत चीजें विदेशी चाहिए थी. Gen Z loves desi. You'd be amazed to know that Indian women are very super confident and they feel a lot more comfortable in mixed gender doms versus female doms.
Okay. Hey there, and welcome to Paisa Vaisa. I'm Anupam Gupta. Want to get smart with your money? We bring in top experts to show you where to invest, what financial trends to follow, and how to build lasting wealth. Ready to get smarter with your money? Hit that subscribe button for Paisa Vaisa and check out our episodes. Folks, welcome to Paisa Vaisa. I'm your host Anupam Gupta, and on today's episode, we continue our sub-series on how businesses work. And my guest today has a very, very interesting business indeed. Youth travel hostels. Youth. Focus on that, okay? But to explain more about that, Pankaj Parwanda joins us with the story of goSTOPS. Pankaj, welcome to Paisa Vaisa. Thank you so much for doing this for our audience.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a fascinating story that you've got. We've never had anybody of this profile, of this business ever on our series so far.
Yeah.
Let's start from the starting. Like, you and your wife are backpacking in Europe in 2012.
Yeah.
Let's start the story from there.
Yeah. So we, a friend asked us if we'd like to go to Europe, and we said yes. And he said, "Can I make the travel arrangements?" And we said yes, by mistake. And he ended up booking us at hostels. We were both in corporate jobs and we were staying at 5-star hotels. We had no idea the world of hostels existed. The first hostel he took us to, it was not so great and we didn't quite have an experience, and we almost started telling him ki ye kya kar diya, what have you done? And I remembered second, third hostel. By the time we went to the common area, and there were these young college kids using Tetra Pak juices, making cocktails, and within 5 minutes we had people telling us who had a breakup today and who got proposed today and whatnot, and we're like, what is this? In 5 minutes we're suddenly becoming friends with so many people, which is when Pallavi, my wife and my co-founder, sitting next to me, said something like this should exist in India for young Pankaj and Pallavi. I thought she wasn't taking this seriously, but she was. She came back, quit her job. Even when I protested, I said it's a very uphill task. It's going to be real estate heavy, ops heavy, and whatnot. But I think she was determined to do this. Went to Varanasi, found a joint family house, learned the ropes of the trade, how to convert a simple building into a hotel building and then into a hostel as per regulations. And then it took us about 10 years to create a whole category in India. And today, if you go on GoIbibo, you'll find hotels, flights, and hostels right there. Wow. That's how big this category is. You pick up a research report by several VCs. I think 2AM VC recently released a report where they did a dipstick into Gen Z, and they said 70% of Gen Z is choosing hostels over hotels. So hostel has become an alternative now to hotels, and it's become that larger category.
You mentioned Gen Z. Let's talk about that for a while. Decoding this entire Gen Z mindset, because I'm assuming that's your largest demographic. That's the kind of people who stay at your properties.
Yeah.
What is it about them? How was this service before you guys came?
Yeah.
And why are the Gen Z population attracted to the hostels concept?
Yeah. Very, very interesting question. So we'll have to, let me just draw an analogy here. In 2006, I was the first child in a middle-class family who got a private job and got a laptop back home, and then stayed at fancy hotels because my company would make me stay at Hyatt and Taj and Marriott, and these were all fancy hotels. And we'd get a 500 rupee DA, which was not enough to buy a meal there, so we'd essentially go to a dhaba outside and get a meal there. But Taj and Marriott did not feel home. Because I came from a middle-class family, I just felt intimidated by the space. It wasn't meant for me. And then came Lemon Tree and Sarovar, who I remember we had a corporate training in a Lemon Tree because suddenly the admin saw there was a cost saving there. And I went to a urinal and there was a yellow and a green poster with some slapstick sort of a joke written there on the urinal, and I was like, this feels so much fun. This feels so much comfortable. I'm sure today that joke would be considered politically incorrect.
But yeah, no, I get that.
But at that time, it just made me feel comfortable, and this is what came to be known as mid-market hotels, which is essentially middle-class hotels. People who wanted things that made them more comfortable and were within their budget. So that was the time when in India, millennials started traveling, and they started traveling for business first, and then they got accustomed to a certain service quality, and then they used this across leisure. And this is how this category became so big. And Lemon Tree and Sarovar Portico are such huge names, and now mid-market hotels, there's a plethora of brands.
Yeah.
Now is when our kids travel much earlier, when they are 18-year-old, 20-year-old. So whether they're in college or they're in early jobs, they're traveling, and they are beginning to travel a lot more for leisure than for business. So now there's this large market which is arising, which is 370 million people today taking about 200 million trips unaccompanied by any other household member, and for non-social reasons, which means for not visiting a relative, not meeting a friend. 200 million trips already happening when the infrastructure of hostels do not exist.
Nice.
Average income of a young graduate in India is 11,000 rupees.
Okay.
So clearly they can't afford Sarovar Portico and Lemon Tree. They want something in less than 1,000 rupees a night. And they're all digitally native, and they're 100% on Instagram, and they watch the same content that a young person who's earning in euros in France watches. They have the same aspiration. How do you bridge the gap between affordability and aspiration? That's where the trade-offs come in. That's where sharing economy come in. So what was the budget hostel concept of Europe, where people traveled for 6 months, 1 year on a very tight budget, has actually allowed to use the sharing economy, core sharing economy benefit of the hostel concept to bring very high quality hospitality assets and services within the reach of the young people of India in less than 1,000 rupees a night. So all of those 200 million trips were happening at either hotels which were not making money and they were about to die, so they were just giving away rooms for much cheaper, or they had very bad service quality, so they were staying in really shady places. This is the future of our country. This is the youth of India. They deserve to stay at better places. And the only way to sustainably make that happen is by using sharing economy. So that's why this concept. And fortunately, Indian youth finds sharing economy or social products aspirational also, and is willing to pay a premium for it. So there's a full sort of a handshake between the supply and the demand side, and that's how this category got created in India.
Help me understand, because the median age of India is 28. I'm twice that age.
Yeah.
Okay. Please help me understand and help our audience. I think my audience, they know much more than I do. What exactly are hostels, travel hostels? How do they work? Because you've been saying sharing a lot. Explain what the concept is about.
Yeah. So a hostel or a youth travel hostel, as we call it, is if you were to close your eye and imagine what a hotel would look like for a young person, a Gen Z, is what it is like. So this young person will definitely walk into a very vibrant, colorful, youthful interiors. That's what it is like. It is going to be a hotel which is predominantly going to be dominated by a lot of young people. That's what it's like. It's going to have a whole lot of young recreational activities in the common area with foosball and snooker and whatnot. That's what it's like. The seating versus hotels will be very, very different. In hotels, you'd usually have a table of 4 where a family of 4 will be sharing a meal. In a hostel, there'll be large tables and there'll be seating a lot more lower. Young people like to lean down and sit comfortably. So that's how ergonomically the furniture would be designed around their sitting levels, their comfort, and around making social interactions happen. And then in the room is where the word sharing economy comes in, whereby one would have to sweat this piece of real estate, which is the room, in a highly efficient manner so that everyone can get this high quality hotel in their reach in less than 1,000 rupees a night, which is by actually putting bunk beds. So you would actually have bunk beds inside the room, and every bunk bed will have to have a private storage facility. So there'd be lockers, and there'd be curtains around the room and blah, blah, blah. But another thing that when you will close your eyes and imagine, that you are bound to imagine that what a young person's hotel will look like, you will also have to think is that it will be tech enabled. It will be completely digital because young people order their food on Zomato and they want to see the rider on the Zomato. They want to see their portfolio grow on a grow. They want to see everything digitally. So similarly, when you walk into a goSTOPS or a youth hostel, the door will open through a Bluetooth on the app. The locker will open with Bluetooth on the app. You will order the food on the app. You will chat with people in the hostel on the app.
Okay.
You will do a check-in in the hostel on the app. You will move people around within this group into different dorm beds on the app. You will chat with an AI chatbot and say, I'm very dissatisfied. The manager was being rude with me and told me to stop the music. And the chatbot will tell you that there is something called a silent hours after 10 p.m. So I'm sorry about this, but if you'd still like me to escalate this, I'm going to create a digital ticket for you. And that digital event is going to be created and you are going to be transparently given information about what is done to that digital event. So young people would like digital transparency, accountability, and empowerment. That's what a youth hostel looks like.
What is the room like? You said bunk bed. What else is there in the room? I mean, please tell me, like, is it like a hostel which has the bathroom and everything outside in a common area, or is it attached within the room?
No, in India, most of the hostels, so the way hostels are being created is by repurposing and using the existing long tail hotels, which are less than 50 room in size. So they already have ensuite bathrooms, but we get rooms of different sizes. So which means a large room will become an 8-bed dormitory, which means I'll put a 4 bunk bed, which becomes 8 beds. So 8 people will have to share the loo in the morning, or a 6-bed or a 4-bed. So if you want more convenience, then you've got to pay a little more money for that bed in a 4-bed dorm versus an 8-bed.
Okay, cool. Tell us about goSTOPS today. Its size, presence, maybe revenues, and your funding over the last, I mean, you're what, more than 10 years old?
Yes,
yeah?
11.
Fantastic, 11 years old. So tell us about the size today and the journey in terms of your funding so far.
So we're 30 hostels operational. There are about 10 hostels that go operational next month. So we're on a spree. We just raised our Series A and we're sort of expanding quickly. These 30 hostels is about 2,500 beds. We've raised our Series A to expand this 2,500 beds to about 10,000 beds over the next 2 years and then onwards. Today, the 2,500 beds give us a revenue of about 50 crore rupees a year. 10,000 beds will give us a revenue of about 200 crore rupees a year. All units are solid unit economic positive, just that we're making a lot more investment in tech, which is why we are near EBITDA negative. With a 200 crore top line, we should make a good enough 30-40 crore EBITDA. In terms of funding, we started this business in 2014 and we bootstrapped till 2019 because I'm sure your audience is curious to know what are the questions one has to answer when they have to start a business. There are three essential questions you have to answer. One is a product market fit, which is the product that you saw in Europe. What shape and form is it going to take for the target audience that you're building for? So you've got to learn, you've got to take feedback from the customer. Indian customer said, hey, I would like some privacy. Can you give me curtain around the bed? Hey, I don't want to have the bed sheet given to me and smelled. That's how it is in Europe. I would like someone to lay the bed sheet for me. So we did. They said, hey, in European hostels, there are pantry where people bring their own stuff and cook food, but we're not traveling for 6 months. We are traveling for 3 to 4 days. Can you have a 24/7 cafe? So we did. We delivered. So that's called product market fit. And finally, then we had a product which the Indian youth, which is the 370 million market, finally consumed. And all of this is better done when not funded by external money, so that you have your time to find all the answers. So first was PMF. We spent time from 14 to 16 finding answers to PMF. Then from 16 to 18, we found answers to GTM, which is go-to-market. How are we going to educate the Indian youth about this product at large? How are we going to make sure that they want hostels? So we went to Indian online travel agents and we said, hey, can you list hostels on your platform? They're like, hey, we have no way to call a bed or a room. We just call one thing a unit and people are going to get confused. So we worked with them and we sort of onboarded them. And I remember when we used to take bookings from online travel agents at that time, we used to send out an emailer to people saying, we want to let you know what you've gotten yourself into. And we'll give you free cancellation just in case we cause some confusion. So finally, we saw that people were coming and people, obviously small tweaks that they told us we kept doing. And they started becoming repeat customers. So we set a clear go-to-market and a flywheel in terms of retention is getting created, which means this particular market is adopting. Then the third question to answer was a business model. What business model will we expand this with? There's a dream of hostels will exist in India in every nook and corner. Okay, how will this happen? Clearly, the joint family house that we took is not a scalable way to do this. So, answering, we're going to take hotels which are less than 50 room in size. What kind of business model? Is it going to be a company invested, company operated, which means we are going to transform a hotel into a hostel and operate it? Or is it going to be a franchise invested, company operated, which means some hotel owner will invest the capex and give us a ready unit to operate and we will operate it? Or a franchise owned, franchise operated, where the owner will invest and will operate also, or a management contract where the owner will invest and we will manage the hotel on their P&L.
Okay.
We realize the franchise operated and the management contract model do not work in this particular less than 50 hotel room supply. So we narrowed down on company operated models. That's when we said all three questions are answered. Now let's raise money. So 2019, 2020 is when we raised money with our there's a Mumbai-based micro VC called One Crowd that led our round. Jan 20, the money hit our account, and March 20, Modi ji announced lockdown.
He didn't announce COVID, but he announced lockdown.
Lockdown, yeah. And we were like, what are we going to do? And everyone in media was talking of social distancing, and we're like, we are all about putting people in a dormitory. We're talking about bringing people closer. So we said, we don't know, we'll have to wait this out. So till July there was lockdown. August is when we opened back up and we launched something called a freedom sale offer. 15th August, freedom month.
5 years ago, almost.
So we said freedom offer. You go and check in at any goSTOPS during the month of August, 99 rupees and you get a bed.
Okay.
But the only condition being that all dormitories are now group dormitories, which means if you're traveling in a group of 4, you can take a 4-bed dorm. If you're traveling in a group of 6, you can take a 6-bed dorm. We will not but put strangers with each other in a room.
I was going to ask, what about solos?
Yeah. And we said no, because everyone is saying social distancing. So how do we create a bubble? 15th of August, the entire world wanted to see the Wagah border ceremony in Amritsar. Young people were in Amritsar and we were getting escalations, and I started getting escalation calls, and I took one call and I spoke to a customer. He started screaming at me and he's like, what do you think? You think before COVID, if I was coming by train or by bus, am I coming by a private taxi now? Sharing economy is a fundamental way to bring high quality services within my reach. So I'm just going to be a little more, I'm going to take a lot more precautions, but I am still going to be using sharing economy based services. So you can't enforce this group dorm. That's when the idea clicked, and we said theaters, buses, trains and hostels are not going anywhere. It is here to stay. Convinced our investor, and we said this has a silver lining for us. It is a great moment for us to expand. They said wait for 2 months. Let's see the monthly trend and then you can deploy the capital. Saw the trend, amazing trends, and we said the first person who's going to travel is going to be the Gen Z. Because they have already left their co-living places in Bangalore, Bombay, etc., and they've gone back to wherever their houses are. They've seen all the issues with work from home. They've been wanting to they're craving to come out of their houses. They are living with their parents now, not even living independently, which means they are making their parents a lot more vulnerable to COVID if they go out. So they're going to be the first ones who are going to, not just for their own benefit, but for the benefit of the rest of the families, go out. And so the demand, we are going to be leading in terms of demand recovery, allow us to get the supply, allow us to deploy the capital. And we just kept raising money every 6 months. So May 21, we raised $1 million. Then November 21, we raised $1 million. Then May 22, we raised $1 million. And we were 100 company operated beds before COVID. We came out of COVID with 2,500 company operated beds. So we grew 25x through COVID. Series A investors wanted a little more solid data to back on. FY23 data already showed that Gen Z was already gravitating towards hostels and was gravitating towards brand, but there was a fear that it could be revenge travel, which is why FY24 data had to be used. FY24 data, no one could deny that travel as a consumption lever had climbed up the ladder, and it had become a lot more important to people. We were not the same people that we were pre-COVID. Pre-COVID, we were in a rat race, running and trying to achieve a lot of things in life, and suddenly we saw the fragility of life through COVID, and we said, besides achieving things, We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Sure.
So we started prioritizing ourselves and our wellness a lot more, and which is why wellness and travel as categories climbed up.
Yeah.
And Gen Z started preferring hostels, and because we started prioritizing a lot more, which is why we were starting to pay a premium for brands that were willing to take care of service standards. So us as consumers started paying for brands a lot more after COVID.
that
So
way.
that's how this category got created and got the attention that it is getting now.
What's your presence like across India? Are you, concentrated in a certain place, or are you all over? Or
We're all over India because the customer our customer is basically in Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Chennai, Indore, Jaipur, and they're expecting us to be present at their next weekend trip that they take. So just because of the fact that we started our operations out of Delhi, which is why you'll find a higher concentration across Himachal, Uttarakhand, Rajasthan, Uttar Pradesh, but we have a reasonable presence in the south, and now we are aggressively expanding our presence in south and west. But
Okay.
we're all the way from Ladakh, Srinagar to Pondicherry.
what are the hostels used primarily for? Right now, when you said Europe, there the use case is travel.
Yeah.
Now the word hostel kind of is related to education, where you've got kids staying there for the entire term, coming back home, going back. That's what hostels are. So what's the primary use case for you travel hostels here?
So till now, we have only expanded to two use cases, which is leisure and business.
Huh.
Leisure would mean Indian youth taking a weekend vacation of 2 to 3 days. Our average length of stay is 3.1 nights in a mixed gender group of 3 to 4 people. So
Okay.
this Gen Z is still. I know. There's the rise of solo travel. There's the rise of women travel. There's the rise of women solo travel. But while all of these are rising trends, the mass of India still is traveling in groups of mixed gender of 3 to 4, 3 to 4 people over a weekend trip. They don't want to be taken. They don't want to be separated in a bus. They don't want to be separated in a dorm, and they love it, and they feel a lot more safer and secure to stay in a space which is predominantly dominated by young people
Yeah.
and is social in nature, because then there's a lot more, there's a feeling of safety in a train ka dabba. Similarly, you get a safety in a dormitory where it's not just the three of you but 5 other people also. You just feel a lot more safer.
Okay.
So this is the mixed gender group taking a vacation over a 2-3 day period. That's the leisure side of things. Similarly, now we are exploring, and there is a market, I believe, for pilgrim destinations also. We've just recently signed our property in Katra, and there are several other regional religious destinations where people are traveling, and essentially it would be a 2 to 3 day stay, and people, I assume, will again travel in mixed gender groups, and they would like to have a bed for every person on their own, rather than be crammed inside a room and saying, Bhaiya, can you please put one more bed here, and who's going to take the mattress, who's going to be on the bed. They want that independence, and they would like better facilities. So similarly, pilgrim is where it fits. And then after we got them used to this concept over leisure, when they started traveling for business is also when they started choosing our hostels. Even when they're working for blue chip companies, they're fighting with their admin and they're saying, hey, in hotels I get very bored in the evening, I don't know what to do. Can I be in this youthful place? And it's a lot cheaper, so please. But a majority of youth is also choosing a lot of gig economy based jobs, which is their own freelancing jobs, is working for startups and SMEs where they make their own travel decisions, and they're all seen at our hostel. So we have about 2 hostels operational in Bangalore, 2 more getting ready. We have 1 in Delhi, 1 in Gurgaon, 1 in Noida. They're running at about 98% average occupancy. So that's the kind of demand that is there in business destinations also. And then there is one more use case where a young person moves to a new city and doesn't know if he is going to like the work environment in this particular job, is unsure.
Temporary
Setup. So there's like good 20-25% revenue that comes from people who are just moving cities, and they trust a brand like goSTOPS to be their first point of stay till they find their bearing.
Pankaj, just to understand this on the last level, just for me to kind of accept what exactly this is, it has nothing to do with something like an OYO. An OYO does things completely different. Those are like hotels, and they are different, right?
I mean, OYO is a budget hotel for everyone. It's supposed to be meant for the masses. So if anyone is traveling with their family or is traveling with their parents, or several use cases, it's a much broader use case budget hotel brand. We are a much more sharper meant for youth only social hotel brand. So Oyo is a budget hotel brand. We're a social hotel brand. So we're a different category.
Does anybody else exist in your category, or you're like the first?
No. There are a couple of other players who exist in the category, are about our size and are equally aggressively expanding in the category. And then there are obviously a lot of smaller chains.
Yeah, because I would assume that the market for this is there. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
It's just that it's probably being serviced by unorganized players, is what my assumption is. And let me just kind of support, give an example in support. So here in the western suburbs of Bombay, there are a lot of schools and colleges.
Yeah.
Okay, and there are massive, like there is the entire Ville Parla area, which has got an NM and a Mitibai, and there are huge properties there where there are schools, colleges, and therefore there's a bunch of kids coming in. Not all of them are from Bombay.
Sure.
Okay. Last couple of years, whenever I've been going there, hostels have opened up inside premium areas. And I was like, but they are priced as per Bombay Western suburb standard. So I was just wondering that when I saw a hostel in a residential area, I was quite surprised.
But those are co-living hostels.
Yeah, of course.
So they're the replacement for what is called PGs. So that's a different industry altogether. So you will find players like Zolo Stays, Stanza Living, etc. So those are the PG hostels. It's called co-living in the new age startup ecosystem. Our category is youth travel hostels. So we are shorter stay, they are longer stay. So they don't need a hotel license to operate. We need a hotel license to operate.
Oh boy, okay. That it's a very fine nuance out there.
Yeah.
Depending on the use.
They're replacing the home, we are replacing the hotel.
Perfect. Folks, we're going to drill down more into this and of course how the Gen Z and hopefully our audience also consists of that. On the other side of this break, don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
Did you know Indians report nearly 800 cases of online financial fraud every day, which has resulted in losses exceeding 1,000 crores in the last 5 years? To keep you safe from such fraud, I am starting my newest podcast series, Conversation with Vigilante, an initiative by HDFC Bank. In every episode, I will feature special guests who can share expert insights on the different types of fraud, their modus operandi, and how you can protect your money. Stay safe, stay vigilant, and don't forget to tune into Conversation with Vigilante. Catch the episodes on all audio streaming platforms and V for Vigilante YouTube channel.
And welcome back. Pankaj, what's your business model in terms of two sides? One is, let's talk about the properties. Obviously, you're not someone who owns the properties or even renting them out. So let's talk about outreach, advocacy. How do you reach out to these people who own that? What is your business proposition to them? What is their ROI? I'm talking like a hotel, right?
Yeah.
Hotels are basically that. Asset-light models. They just come in, they have a business model to the landowner. They take over the property, run it, make it into rooms, and there is a fixed return to the owner out there.
Yeah.
And obviously, they attract customers by just brand power or whatever it is. So if I were to pose the same question to you, both sides of the equation, first, getting the space, second, attracting the customers. Let's talk about that.
So first, let's do the property side of things. So like I said, we are transforming hotels which are less than 50 room in size into youth hostels. So we're essentially going to the owner of a hotel of less than 50 room in size. Who is this person? This is a SME business owner who has done very well in their business. They may run a thread factory, or they may run a white cement distribution business, a paint distribution business, or whatever. Yeah. There's an SME business that they excel at, and they have made money out of it. They got 3-5 crore worth of liquidity, and they built a 20, 30, 40 room hotel.
Yeah.
Till a point of time, it was very easy to operate this hotel because you could actually lease it to some local operator, or you could actually have a member of the family run the hotel for you. It was at a great location right in front of a metro station or a train station. People would walk in, you'd get some money, you were able to sweat that piece of real estate.
Yeah.
But hospitality is a high service touchpoint business. So it requires a lot of emotional investment or a lot of physical investment in delivering that service. So clearly, just running it as a side project, you were never able to deliver great service, but yet you were able to earn a good enough yield on this investment in this piece of real estate.
I was just going to come to that.
Yeah.
7, 8, 10%, whatever the number is.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. 6 to 8% is the commercial yield.
Yeah.
Happy. Ban raha tha.
Yeah. And you own a property.
And you own the property, right? But then something changed. The asymmetry of information for the Indian consumer got resolved, which means till now, till say 2008, nobody walking into your door really knew how good a service do you give. They just knew that your location is good and they walked into your piece of...
And they didn't care much also, I'm assuming.
No,
because out of
everyone
you-
cared. Every customer has always been discerning and customer always cared about great service, but they didn't know. They didn't know.
Okay.
They couldn't make an informed decision.
Yeah.
But when this information asymmetry got resolved and now on online, I can see that you're only 2.3 rated.
That's-
I'm not going to walk into your door.
That's the information asymmetry. I can take a call before paying up.
Correct.
And figure out alternatives. I
Correct.
don't have to go to you.
Correct. Just because of your location. So the only way to sweat that piece of real estate and make your yield was by delivering great service. Now this SME businessman is great at doing their business. They don't have the time and bandwidth to run this hotel. Similarly, above SME are say medium businessmen and then HNIs and HHNIs. So UHNIs who built a large 200-room hotel always had the option to go to a Hyatt or a Marriott or whatever and say, hey, can you do a management contract and can you sweat this piece of real estate for me? Or someone who owned a 50 to 100-room hotel always had the option to go to a Sarovar Portico or Lemon Tree and say, hey, can you please take this piece of real estate and sweat this?
Yeah.
But the less than 50-room hotel owner did not have any such option, and now there was no other option but to have an operator operate my asset, because only an operator can use scale and technology and the science of hospitality to their benefit to finally make sure that the service quality is good, the ratings are good, and hence ultimately the ROI on that piece of real estate happens.
Correct.
So the proposition is a professional operator, is that we are a professional operator, and there's a whole range of now new lean, mean professional operators who are using technology to sweat and bring this unorganized piece of real estate into the organized space.
Yeah.
Now within the operators also, there are some operators which are just converting these hotels into good, clean budget hotels, and there is people like us who are in the category of youth travel hostels who are converting these hotels into great social youth hostels, youth travel hostels. Now, the right to win over this piece of real estate for our model comes from the fact that the hotel, the clean hotel model, when they walk into this building was never built very scientifically. This building, even though built in front of an ISBT station, had a presidential suite on the top floor. Now, a budget room hotel brand can only sell that presidential suite for 2,500 rupees.
Okay.
Unless the hotel owner is willing to bring about some structural changes, divide that room into 3 rooms, build 3 different toilets. That's like a lot of hard work.
Okay.
Whereas we as an operator are like, hey, don't worry. There's this large room. I'm going to put 7 bunk beds there and we're going to make it 14 beds. And I'm going to sell every single bed for 1,000 rupees. And I'm going to make 14,000 rupees out of that room.
Per
and
night,
hence
yeah.
I'm going to give you the right kind of yield for every square inch of your piece of real estate versus anyone else without doing any structural changes to your building. So that's our proposition to the owner.
What's their ROI now? I mean, just an approximate range.
I wouldn't be able to assume, but I think that the rentals that they usually settle at, we're usually paying up at the higher end of the spectrum. So say at about 8% ROI is something
what
that
they're getting.
8% yield is normal. No one will rent their piece of real estate for less than 6.
That's what I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Now the tougher thing, or is it the easier thing?
No, both are.
This entire advocacy, this entire, it's a mindset change, right? Because when you're traveling with friends, you're either at an OYO or you're at a 5-star, depending on which income category you come from. Or maybe you don't even do it, you're with your parents. Okay, but now you've got this, and typically with your 17, 18, 19-year-olds, they don't go, their parents won't let them venture out beyond a certain, area. So how did you guys crack this?
Oh, so firstly, that's not true, that young people are not venturing out.
No, I didn't say they're not venturing out. I said that for them to stay in a hostel when they're venturing out is relatively new. That's all I'm saying. Of course they're venturing. Probably more with their friends now than previously they used to go with their parents. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So mass of India, like I said, is still traveling in groups.
Yeah.
Why are they traveling more in groups and less solo? Because we're in a transition phase where parents still feel a lot more comfortable if their daughter is going to travel with 2 other workmates, or if their son is going to travel with 2 other college friends rather than him going solo. So So that's how they're traveling.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
social makes them a lot more safer, feel a lot more safer and comfortable. Similar, you extrapolate this concept to staying in a hotel. Now, this group of three who are still I hate it when brands look at Gen Z as just consumers and they just want to grab their share of wallets. But if you actually look behind, there's a child. There's a child who's still finding their bearing in this world, who's still not so self-assured. So these kids, this group of three kids would ideally again feel a lot more safer if they were in a hotel where there were other such kids and a lot many of them. So that's the value proposition to this consumer, and which is why they feel a lot more comfortable in a hostel space, a lot more secure in a hostel space, and it also becomes a lot more fun. And fun is what they pay the premium for.
Yeah. Do you think that's your competitive edge? Bringing this entire social community as, a key selling point for... I'm just trying to understand that what stops anybody else from doing this?
Social.
Any of the hotel brands can just say that, okay, we'll open a sub brand and we'll do the same thing.
Yeah.
What do you think is your strong...
Youthful and social and tech.
Yeah.
These are the only three different
Why
things.
are they important? I mean, how have you built a moat around these three factors so far?
So dormitories have existed in Bombay forever.
Bombay is a great example. Yeah. It's a worker city, so it's always pro, that.
Yeah. And a certain economic strata of the society have been using those dormitories very, very well, but they've never paid a premium for those dormitories.
Okay.
They're like, अगर कमरा 1,000 रुपए का आता है, तो bed 200 रुपए का आना चाहिए.
Yeah.
Why did our hostels start commanding a premium? So we do an average ADR of 1,000 rupees, averaged across the portfolio through the year. Most of the long weekends, young consumers are paying almost 2,500 rupees for one bed in a dorm in our hostels.
Okay.
So you don't walk into a goSTOPS without an app. We launched this app to give our service delivery about 2.5 years back. We have about 3 lakh downloads, and 40% of this download is iOS users. So these are not people who are budget hunters or deal hunters. These are value seekers.
Okay.
So they see immense value in staying at a social place and the fun element that it adds to their life, which is why they're willing to go above and beyond what they can afford to pay a premium and stay at these hostels.
Okay. Break up your revenue pie for me. I mean, you made some mention out there about some certain components, but what's your revenue pie look like percentage-wise? How much of it is room rent? How much of it is any added services or...
So today we are at 85% bed and 15% food.
Food?
Yeah.
Okay, that's also available as in
Yes,
that option is also there.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's 24/7.
It just reminds me of PVR and very expensive popcorn, but let me not bring that comparison.
And most of our food is ordered between 12 o'clock in the night and 3 o'clock in the morning. That's Gen Z for you.
That is Gen Z for me. I completely agree with that. They somehow seem to work on US timings, but anyway. Cost drivers.
So cost drivers are rent, salary, utility expenses, which is electricity, water, blah, blah, blah. Rent is commercial real estate yield. We already talked about that. So we anyways have a right to win on the rental bit because we are able to extract higher revenue and margins for every single room. Salary, very interesting. Luxury hotels in India operate at a manning ratio of 2:1.
What does that mean?
So which means if you have a 100-room Taj, it needs a staff of 200 people to operate.
Room to staff. Okay.
Room to staff.
Yeah.
Budget hotels in India operate at a manning ratio of 1:1, which means if you have a 20-room hotel, you need a 20 people staff. We take a 20-room hotel, we converted it into an 80-bed hostel. We stuff it with 80 young, youthful, energetic Gen Zs. And we operate it with a manning ratio of 0.43, which means a staff of 8 people.
Oh. Because
we've cut the product by demographic. We've said we are not hotel for everyone. We are hotel for youth, and youth only wants this. So which is why we don't have a reservations team. We get about 1,000 calls every day on our IVR, out of which 700 calls are, can you tell me what is the rate and is there an available room? I am building for Gen Z, which is digitally native, and I was surprised when I, at a point of time, had a team of 15 people taking these calls.
Yeah.
I said, why do we have to do this?
It's there on the app, right?
Yeah. So today when you call our IVR, we still have an option 1. if you want to know rates and availability. And as soon as you press option 1, there's an automated message saying, sorry, we don't tell you rates and availability. I'm WhatsApping you a discount code, download the app and check it there and book it.
Wow.
So I can go one channel instead of going omni-channel.
Okay.
I can go completely digital in terms of food delivery and the order. No one has to come and give you a menu. No
Okay.
one has to advise you on what food to order. No one has to take your payment. You're going to do all of that on your own on the app. I am going to get a digital event. I'm going to make that food for you. Once the food is ready and I mark it ready on your app, you're going to get a notification saying food is ready. Come to the reception and collect it. And you're going to come and collect it on your own. So because youth, I know exactly what is important to youth and what is not important to youth, I am able to create a service within the boundaries that allows me to maintain much stronger cost levers than any other broad product, horizontal product.
I can't get over the 0.4 staff too. I mean, that's
Eight people for 80 people.
Yeah, I was just, do you even offer the Gen Z guys that if you clean your own room, we'll give you a 50%?
I don't mind. But there's a cultural shift that's happening. Why
No,
not?
I'm saying because abroad, you know how it works.
Yeah.
You have to slog it out.
Yeah.
There's no luxury or anything out there. A hostel is it's a bare bones thing meant for you to enjoy the experience. And this is manual labor is not looked upon out there.
Yeah.
In India, is still this this entire thing.
But slowly, the cost of labor is going to rise in India.
Yeah.
And slowly, at our homes, we are going to get used to doing a lot of our work on our own. And then our expectation from hotels will also go down. But that's going to go hand in hand. It's going to be a full cultural revolution.
12 a.m. to 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Please don't tell me the most ordered dish is Maggie. I'm sure it is, right? What is it? Butter chicken or something.
Maggie is one of the most ordered dish. Yeah.
Okay. Customer acquisition. How do you even attract? I mean, is social the only thing? Because word of mouth can only go so far. And you're like, you're pan India. You're servicing 37 crores, if that's the number you told me, 370 million.
Yeah.
200 million trips.
Yeah.
What's your strategy there?
So there's more demand than supply. So we don't have to today go about doing some aggressive marketing and pushing and creating a need. There already is a need, and the young consumer is today, if 200 million trips are happening and we only have 2,500 beds, there's still a lot of people who are staying at not so great places. So we don't have to do much marketing. As soon as we launch a new property and we make it live on online travel agents and our own platform, and we talk a little bit about it using social media, we'd do a little PR, we'd send emailers to our existing guests saying, hey, we've just launched in Panjim. In 3 months' time, which is unheard of in hotel industry, without any performance marketing, we're able to come to our stable economics in 3 months' time.
Wow, okay.
And then it takes us about 15 months total to recover our entire investment in the hotel.
Okay.
That's
Okay. Online travel agents, big chunk of your business?
40%.
That's
60% is our app.
Right. So this would be across all platforms, GoIBOs and Yatras and everything.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to get to some insights. Okay. You've hosted like 1 million travelers is what my data says out
Yeah,
there.
many more than that.
Many more than 1 million.
Yeah.
Other than 12 a.m. to 3 a.m., what insights do you have? Like for example, what are the priorities? I've seen that in our conversation so far, you're emphasizing safety and trust a lot. And that for the youth, at least as a parent, I know that really matters.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about these insights that you've gained, in 11 years of business, 1 million travelers, any myths, any preconceived notions that were just completely busted. Let's talk about that.
So one is, when we started, we thought Indian women will feel a lot more comfortable in female-only dorms. And we still have female-only dorms at all of our hostels.
Yeah, colleges are run with that assumption. So I think it's fair to assume that. Not exactly.
But that's just pushed down their throat, no? But given a choice, they don't want to be separated from their male friends and male colleagues and whoever that they're traveling with. There was a time when we actually started gender segregating the dorms. I think in 2023 we said, hey, at scale, I think it'll be a lot easier if we had gender segregated dorms. The customer gave us a big backlash and said, no, I have come as a group and we don't want to be separated into separate dormitories. So you'd be amazed to know that Indian women are very super confident and they feel a lot more comfortable in mixed gender dorms versus female dorms.
Okay.
That's one insight.
I like the timings one though. The timing of the food one. Is there any concept of check-in, check-out, or this is like 24 hours?
No. So we have a 3-hour gap between our check-in and check-out time. So our check-out time is 10 a.m. and our check-in time is 1 p.m.
Okay.
So that allows us to spread. So the shorter the window between the check-in and the checkout is the amount of staff you will need, because within that 1 hour you will have to clean all the rooms, turn all the rooms around. So 3 hour is a trade-off that youth is willing to make because there is the common area. So they're happy to chill in the common area while you're making my room.
Okay, what else? What else? Tell me what else.
What else?
Community activities, fun things, anything that you've added, in the common areas. You spoke about foosball, pickle, paddle, anything.
So they truly love social interaction. They're super lonely.
It's not a good thing, but I'm glad that they have an opportunity to do social interaction.
Correct.
Just get out of that bloody phone of yours.
No. So my next insight is that they actually like to do that social interaction on that device also. So everyone values, at the core, we are all human beings, and so is Gen Z. So they truly like the physical interaction, a face-to-face, no digital screen, face-to-face interaction with another human being. But I think they even completed their college in the middle of COVID. So they never really had the fun time in hostel that in colleges that you do, right? So that innate desire to have a interaction with a human being exists, but a lot of them find it very difficult to strike a conversation, which is a challenge that we're trying to solve with our app. Which is how we are actually trying to give that digital anonymity, and they don't even know what to write. Hey, I want 3 people over a game of foosball table is a lot of text for them to write. So we're actually giving them a button to press and say, UI designers have a challenge solving foosball. Okay, so foosball can only entertain 2 more people, so with 1 more person. So 1 in 30 minutes, tuck. And then suddenly 1 more human being shows up to play a game of foosball, or 3 more people come over in 30 minutes to play a game of snooker. And now over this activity, they will engage over this particular amenity, and they will engage over this activity, and over this, the walls will break down, the walls will come down, and finally humans will become connected to each other. But you've got to make it easier for them to approach the other human being. So that's one insight about them.
Okay, cool. Just winding down, last few questions now, Pankaj. Regulation, stuff like that, because this is when you're dealing with humans and you're dealing with hospitality, and you're not, an established 5-star, you're someone who's an upcoming chain. We've seen a lot of smaller, mid-budget hotel platforms or brands, whatever, going through their own set of issues. Sensitive topic for a lot of states, especially travel-based. Has regulation played a role out here in any way for you guys, or are you still not in that, area where that could have an impact?
So
you spoke about how hostels and hotels require different licenses.
No, I said long-term hostels and hotels. So we essentially come under what is called the Sarai Act, which is the act which was made several hundred years back, when people used to take their horses and overnight they used to stay at a sarai when there was the colonial times.
Stands for SARAI something, but
yeah.
This is the sarai.
Abhi bhi, the
like
Sarai
you've got
Act.
Mughal
So
sarai,
even,
you've got
that
sarai.
That sarai. So आज भी वो Sarai Act exist करता है, और आज भी बड़े से बड़ा होटल, Taj Hotel or whatever hotel, has to register under the Sarai Act. So we have to register under the Sarai Act as hotels. In terms of other and Sarai Act also, you have to take a safe NOC from the fire department. You have to take an NOC from water department, and blah blah blah. All of that you have to do. But besides that, I think the regulations that will be made by regulators will always move slow. But if you are genuinely building a brand at large, you have got to be faster than the pace at which regulations come out in the country.
That I think applies to we've seen it, whether it's an Uber or whether it's an Ola, whether it's we've seen that happening. Yeah. Of course.
So while we comply to the law of the land, I think there is a lot more that we wish to do, and we keep doing.
Okay.
Like we have a 24/7 CCTV monitoring from a central command center. We went ahead and put Bluetooth locks, so now we have control over who's entering the room or who's entering not. Today, even none of our staff has a master key to enter the room. There is an app that they have to use, and only during housekeeping hours, which is 10 to 1, basis digital event, whether a person is there inside the room or not, can a staff get access into that room. So there are many things that one can do about safety, transparency, hygiene, etc. And we're trying to push the boundary beyond what the regulation requires us to do.
But so much digital. What if in some area lights go away and I can't, my mobile is off. How do I enter my room then? If there's a
So there are fail-safe mechanisms. There is a code that we can give you in that case. If you forgot your phone inside the room, then there's a one-time use OTP that we give you, and you can use that and then unlock.
But my phone is inside and I'm outside. So how will I get the OTP?
The reception will give you an OTP.
Okay, cool. Last two questions. Your plans. Let's first come to that. Future plans. What lies ahead for you? And then the second question, I want to know from you, how is this sector and how is this business, how is this industry going to change going forward? First, let's talk about your future plans.
So our future plan is to get to our 10,000 beds, 200 crore in the next 2 years. Then spend another 3 years, get to our 30,000 beds, 1,000 crore in revenue, 200 crore in EBITDA. A 200 crore in EBITDA will mean about what? Above of 8,000 crore valuation.
Wow. Okay.
So list as a unicorn in 5 years. But it's a simple replicate, cut, copy, paste, low and steady business. But it's a category creation play. So there's a whole 10-year journey in category creation. But now it's fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
So that's the journey of the business.
What's your staff size like right now, and how do you see that growing? Like, how many people will you require? I'm just looking at this from the employment generation potential. I know that you said it's 0.4. I don't know whether that 0.4 will stay throughout. Maybe, I mean, it seems to be on the lower side, but I'm just asking what's the employment potential in general, general potential for employment. Sorry for that mix-up. In your business.
So even today, with our 30 hostels operational, we employ about 350 people.
Okay.
80 people are in the center and 270 people manage our hostels.
Okay.
So that's your manning ratio of 0.43. So growing at this pace, we have to grow from 2,500 beds to say 25,000 beds. So that's about 100x growth. So 270 people is going to grow to about 27,000 people.
Oh, wow. That's good. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
Okay. Now for the sector, what's one major shift that you can see in Indian youth travel over the next 3 to 5 years? Especially with platforms like goSTOPS driving this change. One major shift that you see. You've already created the category, and obviously the category is working, going by your numbers, and by your growth plans, and by your funding. What do you think is going to happen now to this entire, whether it's a niche segment or whether it's a growing segment? What's next now? You think that they'll have more fun, they'll have more adventure, you'll probably need to expand more in the travel locations, you think business will pick up, you think education might be a place? So what's the major shift?
So we've already seen the journey of this category over the last 10, 11 years. Essentially, there's something called the Kanos model. In market research, there's something called the Kanos model, whereby there are the two axes, whereby there is what happens if you give this service? Does the customer become unhappy or super happy? So there are three types of requirements that get plotted for any service category or any product category, which is hygiene essentials. Ki ye to chahiye hi chahiye. Ab I'm buying a TV, it has to show a picture. So if it doesn't show a picture and it can do a lot many things, sorry, it doesn't work for me. So, or picture maybe say it's supposed to be rectangle. Now if I or some other feature, basically some basic hygiene feature, but if you keep doing a lot of great things at it, it's not going to create a delighter. It's a basic expectation. If you don't give, then you are completely out of my choosing set. But if you excel at it,
no big deal. Yeah, okay.
Then there are performance factors where if you deliver, the more you deliver on this, the more I will value your brand linearly. And then there are delighters, which is if you just do this,
the jump.
This was unexpected and this is just suddenly a delighter. So the way every single category evolves over a period of time is that the performance factors of today will become hygiene factors of tomorrow.
Correct, yeah.
And the delighters of today will become the performance factors of tomorrow. And new delighters will come up. So the customer will always keep pushing the boundary and you will have to keep evolving. So that's exactly what has happened with us. Earlier when this category started, everyone started with joint family houses, 9 to 10 room hotel. And then came COVID where we got access to 20, 30 room hotels. Then we got access to hotels with swimming pools on the rooftop. And the customer is like, now I'm not going to stay at these 9, 10 room hotels. So the customer is continuously pushing that envelope, and I think it's going to keep happening, and we're going to see much more and more bigger hostels coming, more and more funner hostels coming, more and more social features coming. We're now today the biggest complaint. We were just doing a AI-based review of all AI-based analysis of all the reviews that we got. The biggest complaint that now people have from, hey, hostels don't have AC in 2014 to now is, hey, I don't have control over the temperature of the AC. Now, why do they not have control over the temperature of the AC? Because it's a dormitory. There are 6 other people. Now, who do I give the remote to? So, the feature that now we are developing is that on the app, we are letting the 6 co-residents vote for what should be the temperature.
Oh my.
And we'll communicate to you that I know you asked for 21, but the average temperature that everyone has voted for is 22.5. And via IoT, I have set the temperature already to 22.5. I'm giving you control, but I'm giving you shared control. So that's how they're pushing the envelope.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
we're going to keep rolling out features like these.
Kind of get that. Okay, bust a myth for me for Gen Z. Okay, you've dropped references a lot about the food and the safety and the trust and the women and now the AC temperature also. Give me something, I'm an old timer.
Sure.
Help me here. Help me, bust a myth that I have about the Gen Z.
That they're very hip and they're very हवा में रहते हैं.
They don't.
They don't.
What are you saying? Really?
Oh, they love ज़मीन से जुड़ना and the rootedness of being rooted in the culture of the country and their own culture a lot more than millennials ever did. They're super comfortable with themselves. So we're a travel brand, right? And we're a youth travel brand. One would assume that we should be posting about the coolest places to go all over India. The one social media post for us that did tremendously well, Gen Z is our consumer, was Chhat Puja and its significance in Gen Z lingo without any of the religious overtones on it.
Oh, wow.
Just enjoying and telling them then how this festival relates to enjoying the sun and how there are these rituals that can really create a very relaxing sort of an experience, and there is a whole series of events that you go through for 2-3 days, rituals that you go through for 2-3 days, and it can really create a very refreshing atmosphere and it can bring a whole family together. They loved it like crazy. We had over 1 million views. Chhat Puja. So they're not ashamed. They have no boundaries.
You think that maybe if you provide those experiences as an add-on feature, you think that might help, tying up with some service providers in the local areas and giving this as something, you think that
100%.
Yeah?
100%. Yeah. उनको हर चीज cool नहीं चाहिए. उनको maybe millennials को बहुत चीजें विदेशी चाहिए थी. Gen Z loves desi. So yeah, we
kind of feel sad for my generation of Gen Xers, but still on that note of groundedness and enjoying your culture, appreciating your culture. That is a wrap on this episode of Paisa Vaisa. My guest, Pankaj Parwanda, co-founder goSTOPS. Pankaj, thank you so much for doing this for our audience, folks. The website, the app, anything, just go for goSTOPS, GOSTOPS.
Yes.
Yeah, and discover. Have a great time and give Pankaj some feedback. Right?
Thank you. Yes.
Thanks a lot, Pankaj.
Thank you for having me.